Hi guys, so welcome to the video. It's been a little while. Don't worry, I've still been busy working away. Just been doing a lot of the more, how do you say, refactoring and all the background stuff again. It's not the most interesting stuff, but I thought I'd just kind of do something different today and chuck a whole bunch of stuff I've been doing into one video. I want to show you how I've kind of reorganized my whole project structure in a way and how the folders have been readjusted. It's not the most exciting thing, but it's really helped me get things more consistent and it makes me feel better about the project. I've also done a lot of refactoring to a bunch of systems. So if you're interested in game dev, maybe it will be interesting for you. So the only real new thing as far as the look of the game goes is this little flashlight thing that I've given the character, a la, Silent Hill 2 or whatever. I'm sure there's other games that have that kind of thing. It's kind of like you want to have the inspector open, but yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to keep it, but it could be really good for adding some atmospheres to certain environments, especially if it was really dark and you only had this to see like a few feet in front of you. Okay, so I've also been messing around. I literally spent like 6 hours one day getting the particle system right for this shotgun. So uh, I hope you can tell the difference because I worked so hard trying to get this like accurate and right, and I absolutely love it now. Like the old one that was on there was just kind of basic. It wasn't like terrible, but nothing special. I still need to add some sounds for when the shells hit the floor because they sound a bit silent at the moment. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as visuals of the game go. So let's get into some of the other things I've been kind of working on. So a big thing has been the folder structure, which again isn't the most exciting for most people. But if you're anything like me, when you're making a game, you might be like, I just don't know where to put things, and nothing kind of, like the organization part is just the tricky thing. So I've got it in a kind of how you say like a feature based way now rather than organizing by type. See, a lot of people like to organize everything so they'll have, for example, all prefabs in one folder, and they'll have, for example, all materials in another folder, or all textures, or all, just everything like that in their own folders. And that looks really organized, don't get me wrong. And there is some benefit for doing that with smaller games, I guess. But if you're planning on quite an ambitious project like this is, that's just not going to cut it. Like you have all of these options here for searching by type, right? I can see all prefabs, so I click in here, all models or materials. So why the hell would you put them into a similar in a similar way in the folders? It just doesn't make sense. You have the search tools for that. You can look here and search by any of these types. So this way that I do it now, for example, actors, that will be anything that kind of moves in the game world and is living or undead. So the player or enemies probably. I might have a separate folder for enemies, but anyway, so in here we have actors, player. Okay. In the player folder, we have his prefab. We have the interaction hitbox, which is what does the checks if he's touching or looking at something and he can interact with it. We have his hand slot, which is just where I put the prefab for the weapon. I don't know if I'm using this actually anymore, but anyway. Sounds. So at the moment, he only has footstep on him. Models, we have his player model, materials, everything to do with him. Bullet casing shouldn't be there, but I can move that later. Data, this is some custom classes I've made that hold certain stuff about the character. Like we have how fast he should turn and move in each state. So that's kind of handy. And player sound, this I can make just a long list of all the sounds possible for him, and without having to have a different audio source, we can change the pitch and we can play multiple sounds at once. So yeah, it's useful for that. Anyway, I don't really want to get too deep into how things work because this is going to be a long enough video anyway. And if you brave it out to the end, then yeah, good for you. Because I don't know if I could listen to me ramble for so long. And yeah, that's where his animator is. So yeah, as you can see, with this kind of contextual stuff, it's easier for me to identify what's associated with the player. So if I accidentally kind of lost his prefab, so we have one of these stats things here, for example. If I lost the prefab, or if I accidentally reset it and I lost the references to things on the character, like here we got another one of these data things here. If I lost that, then I would have to think about, okay, so I know it's in the data folder, for example, but which one is it? You can kind of skirt this issue by tagging everything. Like I could tag every object to do with the player, and then that would kind of get around the issue. But I don't have time to tag everything all the time, so I'd rather just keep it all, organized like this. I say, okay, there's something I need to do with the player. I go to actors, I go to the player folder, boom, I've got it straight away. It's nice and clean and it just feels super convenient. Yeah. Okay, same with everything else. So items, okay, consumable, key, weapons. So I go to weapons. These general folders is a way to get around the issue that sometimes your items in your game might share some things. So in general, I have things like that are generic. So ejector position, that's where bullets fly out of a gun. That's the position they fly out. So the prefab for this is stored in general because handgun and shotgun has one. And materials for the muzzle flash, for example, they share the same material for the particle system, so it's there. And yeah, some things I couldn't put into categories like this because it's something that Unity forces me to have in like the assets folder, like this Text Mesh Pro, which kind of pisses me off because I just really like the organization. But anyway, it doesn't really matter too much. So yeah, that's pretty much it about the folder structure and stuff. I've also been refactoring the player and the scripts that are attached to him, but I'm not that finished with it yet. If you are a game developer, you might have come into this situation where you make a script for a character and at first it's fine because everything to do with the character you just keep in the player script or whatever you want to call it, the character controller, and that's fine for some time. But as your game keeps growing and more systems are introduced, you end up with a really long file. So it's always a good idea to try and split these things out into their own separate scripts. And that has like a multitude of benefits. Let me just check I'm recording. Sorry. So that has a multitude of benefits. So for a start, if you have, for example, all the input in something called the input controller. So everything to do with input I keep here. I send some information to the player script because the player script is kind of like my interface for the outside world. I don't want to be making lots of references to multiple scripts of the player. I'd rather send it all to one kind of script that's in charge of interfacing or interacting with the outside. So yeah, everything to do with input is included in the input controller here, and nothing else is here. So if I need to fix something with input, I come straight here and I see everything to do with the input. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can deal with that. But imagine if you have your input, your movement, your weapons, equipment, sound, all jumbled together into one script. So not only is it harder to find problems and to locate where the problems are, you're basically coupling your code very, very tightly together. And if I ever wanted to reuse some part of that script elsewhere, then it's going to be a nightmare to split it out in the end. But now, for example, I could technically use this input controller on a different kind of character. I'd probably need to convert these this player and the player input into some kind of interface so that it's interchangeable with different kinds of inputs to feed in there. But potentially that would be quite easy to do if I wanted a input controller for an enemy, for example, or whatever like that. Also, I have a state controller. This creates the state machine for the character and adds all of the possible states. And these are the states that, like idle, walking back. These are the states that do something with the logic of the code. It's kind of similar to the Mechanim animator, in that it's a finite state machine where you can only be in one state at once and there's transitions between states. But I don't like to put any game logic into these things because it's just real cumbersome to come in here and try and add scripts. And, I don't want to go in there every time. I'd rather have my own solution to that. So I built out my own kind of state machine for logic, and yeah, it works quite well. The sound controller is quite nice. See, in animations, you've got these things called animation events, which are kind of cool. Let me show you an example. So in the shotgun, where's shotgun? Shoot. Player shooting shotgun, maybe. No, shooting one hand. Yeah, this one. Okay, so if we look in here, in the events, wait a minute. Oh, that's shotgun aim, sorry. Shotgun reload, shotgun shoot. Yeah. So here we have fire weapon, and underneath it, play a weapon sound, shoot. This is an example of an animation event. So you can send a float, int, or string, or object as the parameter to any function on your player model or whatever this animator is attached to, and it will do the thing in the function. So in this case, it's play weapon sound. And if I can get that up. So on weapon events, this wasn't a sound. So it's a similar system though. So if we look here, play weapon sound, string sound name. What this does is this sends this, the name of this sound to the weapon via an event. So one unfortunate thing about the animator events is that it seems that you can only activate methods that are actually attached to the scripts on top of the actual player. So if you have something down the hierarchy, like this super shotgun weapon here, for example, I can't trigger methods on this by using the animator for the player, but I can trigger an event from the player and then listen to that event here, and event to anim, is that? No, that's about animation. Here we go. Weapon sound. So it listens to on weapon sounds played, and it says play sound. And if we look at the type of the, so it takes in the string, and then it searches this dictionary, which is initialized at the start with all the possible sounds, and it uses the string to locate the clip, volume, and pitch at the sound at the location in the dictionary. And then I've got this clip play at sound function that play at point function that I've made so that you can play it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I don't want to talk too much about the details, but yeah, so this is also the scripts attached to the shotgun. And again, all of these things you can actually use on other weapons, which is cool. Like weapon firer, that just takes in the firing point, which is the position where the bullet should come from. It takes in the location of the weapon. It takes in the bullet type. We don't have anything assigned yet because I haven't added it. And also the quick shot timer to use. And a hand slot. Okay, and also we've got a weapon reloader, casing ejector, weapon thrower, weapon sound, and event to anim, which is like, I can't even remember. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, so this all this does is it takes the event from the animation on the player. So when when he's reloading the shotgun, it sends an event here, and then this event to anim converts it to a trigger to send to the animator of the shotgun, so that the shotgun will play its animations like open, closed, etc. Like these things, you know. Yeah. God, this is gonna be a long ass video, so I hope I'm being like mildly entertaining for you, because I feel like I'm just like, I don't know, talking a load of fucking bollocks. Okay, so another thing that's kind of groovy that I did was this. I found out about these substates for the animator state machine, the mechanim, whatever it's called. So I didn't realize. I'm gonna try and get an image now of how big a mess my animator was before, and I'll put it on the screen right now. Okay, so as you can see, it looks fucking awful. Like, it's so messy, right? But then I found out about these substates, and they don't seem to have any bearing on the actual behavior of it, but it's just a way to keep everything organized. So now I can go into weapon stance, and everything to do with animation and the weapon is here. Okay, so I don't have to worry about that bleeding into everything else now. Movement, we have all the movements things here for the animator. That's all good. Interaction, that's all I've got for the interaction so far. But yeah, everything's radio stance is still a bit messy. But yeah, everything's kind of nice and tidy, and it just gives me a happy feeling inside knowing that everything's a bit tidier. I just I'm a real stickler for like organization is what I'm saying, I guess. Okay, so I also renamed all of these balls and parameters for the animator, because I had them really inconsistent before, and one thing that's really important, I think, is to keep your naming very consistent so that you don't have to guess what you named something. It should be pretty obvious what you named something. For example, whenever I'm declaring booleans, I always call them something like is walking, is running. I can say has ammo, stuff like that. You always know that it's going to be a true or false. This can never be like not a true or false. I'm never going to mix this up with a float or something, you know. But for example, crouch, these more direct actions are triggers, so they don't have a true or false. They just send a event, basically. That's it. One way, or not one way or the other, just one way it can be. Okay, so if you're still here, yeah, thanks for support, by the way. Like, it's really nice to have the comments and everything that people have been sending. It really helps me keep going. And yeah, like, I'm so happy with how things have come with the project, even though I've had to clean up things like several times. I feel like I'm learning so much about like good design and stuff, so I'm really, really happy these days. So some other things I wanted to talk about. Let's have a look. I wrote it down because I knew I would forget. Oh yeah, so the things that I'm going to be working on next. I'm going to be designing a new area for the game to kind of demo it and run around in, because I'm fed up at staring at the same walls. Like, imagine staring at this scene for like the past 3 months, almost 5 hours a day. Like, it's really, yeah, I'm fed up with it, to say the least. So I want to redesign some stuff and make it nice. A little bit of news on the setting and stuff is that I've decided to go in a different direction to the whole Arctic base thing, and now the idea is something closer to a mansion similar to RE1. And I know that it's kind of cliche, but I just kind of don't care now. It just feels like the right thing to do, if you know what I mean. Like, the Arctic base thing sounds like a really ambitious thing to do, and it could be like interesting in a game, you know, kind of like The Thing or something. But the thing is, it's like I'm making this game because I want to be very reminiscent of survival horrors. That doesn't mean I can't do new things, but I feel like the kind of mansion setting is so iconic that it would just be awesome to do that. And it's ground that's already been tread that we know works. And I've just got a million ideas of how different each room could look, and like all different monsters that could just appear from places. I want it to be like a huge haunted house, not with ghosts, but with just like crazy beings from other dimensions and crazy shit like that. I'm just so excited about the idea. Um, so yeah, I hope you like that decision. I think like, yeah, it's a shame not to do the Arctic thing, but honestly, I believe in this new kind of direction. I got new energy for it. Um, so other things I need to do soon is refactor the inventory system, because when I wrote it those 3 months ago, it was one of the first things I worked on. I didn't have enough experience in the kind of what things were going to be like, if that makes sense. Now in hindsight, I can see that it's the systems just are a bit convoluted and not way more complex than they needed to have been. So I just want to make that nice and simple and easy to read in case I need to fix things later. I also want to change how the hero interacts with items in the world, so how he picks up things and get all that kind of stuff really nice and clean. And then from then on, the focus from now until pretty much June is going to be almost 100% get the gameplay feeling great and feeling fun. That's when the demo is supposed to be out, by the way, June. I just want to make everything be as fun as possible. That's my biggest goal in the game, is to just make it fun. And I know like it should be scary, right? It's a horror game, but to be honest, my priority is fun. I just want to make a good game. I want to make a game that people play and say, yeah, it was fun. That's, if I've done that, then I feel like I've achieved everything I wanted to. Yeah, so what else? The Discord is now open, by the way. I guess I'll leave a link to that in the description. So if you want to join and just follow along with the project, then be my guest. It would be nice to have you there. And I guess that's about it. I'm probably going to think about something else I was supposed to say, but I don't want to keep you anymore. I'm probably just going to keep rambling. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you made it to the end, then congratulations, my friend. Oh, also, I'm going to start live streaming soon. It's going to be more when I'm doing like level design and stuff, because I don't think I'll be able to stream and code at the same time. Like maybe I'll give it a try sometime, but I like to just be with my own thoughts there, if you know what I mean, because otherwise I get easily distracted. So yeah, the live streams will be soon. I don't know if I'm going to do it on YouTube or Twitch yet, because I've already got quite a few, I got quite a decent amount of followers on my Twitch channel, so it could potentially be more exposure for the game. So maybe I'll just stick it on there, but who knows. Anyway, if you join the Discord, I'll let you know when I'm going to be streaming. And yeah, so take care. Thanks again, everyone, for the nice comments and stuff. And I hope you all do well with your games if you're working on something. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.